Good evening, and thank you for joining us for this edition of Our View, the show that explores topics from our seat in poverty and how it shapes our world. Joining me this evening is a co-op member, Elizabeth. Hi, Elizabeth. Thank you for joining us this evening. Good. So we talked last episode about how in this really heavy media-sized election, we heard a lot about votes from women from suburbia and the college-educated women.
Right.
But I never remember turning on the nightly news and hearing, those poor women down in Post Edition. So we decided that we would explore the topic as to why. And in this episode, we wanted to discuss how does that make you feel? Like, how do you feel about how you're represented in those polls and in the media?
Oh, unfair. Definitely unfair. I feel that, don't get me wrong, I like Biden. But I think that the world looks more to the middle class and the wealthy than they do think about the lower class people. And I feel that if they did, and if they actually lived our lives, then they would understand. It's a struggle when you got to live paycheck to paycheck, and you don't know whether or not you're going to feed your family or take care of your kids. And there's a lot of single mothers out there, just like there's a lot of single fathers, but single mothers have it really hard. It's hard for jobs. Even if you do have an education or a college degree, it's terrible. They still look at you like, well, either you're too old, you're not pretty enough. Why does that matter? It shouldn't, not in our world.
But the bottom line in this is a democracy.
Right.
And we're a big part of it.
Oh, yeah, women.
And there's more than 1% of us.
Oh, yeah.
So how do we elevate our voices? Because you just, even restated what we talked about in the last episode. Mm-hmm. Single moms trying to raise children, trying to work, trying to pay the bills, trying to pull all those pieces together. There's enough stress just in survival.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So do we really have the time collectively to reach out and make sure that our voice is being heard and represented? And how important is that?
I think that a lot of women today that are single and are very low income, working hard, I think they should make time, because nobody's going to hear us if nobody speaks up. But also, in order for us to speak up, somebody's got to be listening. Not saying that, well, we're going to listen to you, but then they don't. Just like your politicians, the government. Are they really listening to us? Do they hear our cry? It's just the poverty rate is terrible nowadays. There's people getting evicted from their homes. Women are having a hard time. They're trying to get their kids together. They want a good neighborhood for their kids. They want to be able to have their kids go out and play. Some single mothers can't do that because they have to live somewhere where either the crime is bad, drugs, or afraid that their child is going to get picked up and kidnapped.
And it's clear that we care about these things politicians are talking about. We care about how much we make an hour, right?
Oh, yeah.
We care about the rates of daycare and whether there would be daycare supplements for us. Mm-hmm. We care about how many assets we can have before we don't qualify for public benefits. We care about these things.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
It's just a matter of
our
voice.
Opinion.
Yeah, our voice really isn't making it to that nightly news, right?
Right. And I think if we could, that's why this television show is so great for our community. But I also feel that, like NBC, CBS, ABC, news that everybody, literally the nation watches, we should be on that. We should be voicing our opinion on that, getting down to what's really bad. And unless you live in a single mother, working hard, taking care of her children, then you don't know. You don't know how to do it. Because some women, they have to go to school. They have to have an education, but some women ain't privy to that. Some women don't have the time to go to school and have a job and take care of their kids because they want to make sure their kids are right. They want to
And
make
how
sure.
do you do that? How do you work a 10-hour shift at the factory, raise children, and go to school? Like, it's
Ooh, it ain't easy.
a
I'm
challenge.
one. It ain't easy. It ain't
And then
easy.
have those ladies from the Women's Co-op saying, please, Elizabeth, come to this focus group. We really need your voice.
Yeah, and that's wonderful. I'm glad to be here, and me being, which all my kids are grown now, and I'm actually helping my single oldest daughter, Latrice. I'm helping her now take care of her children so she can work, and she's having it rough.
But as you know, not every, I mean, Latrice, I'm not saying she's lucky because she's struggling too, and that's
Oh,
real,
yeah.
and I'm not trying to say that's not. But she's lucky to have you as a mom to be able to be there to support her.
Oh, well,
As
thank
you
you.
know, like there are so many women in co-op who don't have those family supports.
No, they don't.
I mean, they're on their own. That's it.
No,
That's what
they
they
don't.
have is
and they got to
themselves.
pay for daycare.
That's
you
why
know.
these network exchanges are so important. Every day, co-op members exchange time, talent, skills,
Right.
concern, and that's how we're making it.
The minimum wage that we make now, to me, I'm sorry, but to actually live and not have to pinch pennies should be more than what it is. A couple dollars more, but you got to look at it too that if they raise the minimum wage, our economy is going to go up. And, prices of food. Oh, well, they're making this, so let's raise the prices of food. Let's raise the prices of gas. Let's raise the prices for diapers, bottles, formula. And if they don't get that help that's out there, which takes a lot to get, you got to go through a lot of paperwork. They want to look at you under a fine-tooth comb. And some people that are really trying have to wait. They have to wait for all that to come in. And how are they waiting, feeding their children? Sometimes you go to a dad, of your children, and he ain't doing nothing. Okay. Well, they say pay child support. Okay, what if he ain't working? What if you can't find him? Or worse yet, what if he's in jail? You just...
Or even the rules in the system that don't match up with the needs,
No,
like getting an
yeah.
eviction notice that has to be taken care of within 7 days,
And that hurts.
and you can't get an answer from Department of Health and Human Services for 10 to 45 days.
Oh, yeah.
By the time you get an answer, you're probably evicted, correct?
Believe it or not, I just went through that. And we did. And
What happened, if you don't mind?
that's fine. We had a beautiful home. It was a townhome. The rent was really steep. And I was doing daycare. And my daughter was working. She actually worked 2 jobs. Well, when we got struck with the pandemic, her job, one of them, went under. They closed everything down, the whole facility, in July. And her other job, she was a waitress at her other job. Of course, you can't go in dining. So they had to eliminate some of the staff. And it just, we struggled so bad, and we got the eviction notice, and I tried to get the PUA from unemployment. And at first, everything was okay. I had to turn in all this paperwork and stuff, and I did all that and got it taken care of. And then all of a sudden, not 4 months later, they tell me I'm denied. And we were counting on that because I had put in our eviction notice that we had. And when they said I was denied, it was a week before we were supposed to go to court. And then we had 2 weeks after that to move. And it hurt.
And wasn't this during a time when evictions weren't supposed to be going through?
Actually, no, because they ended that in, I think, August.
Oh, okay.
And this was at the end of November.
Gotcha.
And we had to be out the 18th of December, right before Christmas. How somebody could do that is beyond me, but,
And you couldn't get help from Department of Health and Human Services because
they
you
never answered me back.
Well, and in fact, you would have had to have been able to prove that you could pay the rent, and since you don't have an income and your
Right.
unemployment was not approved,
Right.
in fact, you don't qualify for that
No,
help.
because they said with her unemployment, she wasn't making enough on her unemployment.
Because I think oftentimes when I talk with donors and friends and folks in the community, and they'll say to me, well, Teresa, Department of Health and Human Services will pay if someone's being evicted. There's the Community Action Agency pays,
No.
Salvation Army pays. Like, we have all these wonderful resources. Yes, if you can qualify for them.
If you qualify for it, and a lot of
If you
times
get
they
it.
deny you.
And that's just such a small percentage of the need out there. Most people are getting turned away.
Oh, yeah. The big thing is what I went through was the paperwork wasn't filled out right. It wasn't turned in. No, yes, it was. I have proof for that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I document everything. I'm a documenter. I'm a hoarder. But, or they say that the funds ain't available. Or they say that.
Which is very true.
Which is
there's,
true,
There's
yeah.
not enough to
And
go
it
around for
hurts.
everybody.
It hurts a lot of single mothers that are out there. And true enough, yes, my daughter's grown, but I also help her raise her 3 little children. And if it wasn't for that, and we got evicted, I would have had my income. If unemployment would have, excuse me, if unemployment would have looked at my stuff and said, yeah, everything looks good. You know, she's being honest about this. She's done everything we asked her to do. We could have went to court and say, look, we've got it. This is what we're going to do. Mm-hmm. It would have been enough to pay off our rent and at least keep us there for another few months.
Right.
Until we got back on our feet. Mm-hmm. But instead, that did not happen. And my daughter wound up in a shelter. I wound up staying at friends' houses. My other daughter's house, which has a big family as it is. And yeah, I even help her, you know, with the kids. She has 3 little boys. And I help her, you know, with those.
And the reality of it is even though we have that local shelter, it's hit or miss on whether or not you're going to be able to get in and they have room.
Yep.
Because, I mean, for those of you who know the Haven of Rest Ministries in Battle Creek, they're amazing what
Yes,
they do for this population. Like, they're just amazing. They're very good friends of Women's Co-op, and they do all that they can. But there is a shortage of beds and space.
Yes, it's because there's so many of us that are out of here.
Again, it's not like you're going to face this situation, you're going to call, and there's going to be a place for you to be up. There's going to be a bed at the shelter, because that's not always the case.
Well, which is really sad, because then women that want to struggle on their own and want to try have to go back to a life that they don't want. You know, have to go back to somebody, maybe, let's say it's a ex-husband or someone that you're divorcing or an ex-boyfriend.
Or even a boyfriend that you meet that's new, but
Yeah.
you're desperate for that help, and he's willing to help you.
And he's willing to help you, but you don't know what situation you're
But
going to
it
get
may
into.
not be something that you would choose if you
Yes.
could afford to make a different choice.
That's very true.
Right.
You've got so much domestic violence nowadays for women, and that's horrible. And now it's the kids getting involved too. Women have it really bad. And I was watching the news
Do you think that's
yesterday.
all women?
Majority. I think it's majority.
So regardless of social economic conditions.
Well, if you're born with a silver spoon in your mouth, so to speak, then those women probably don't mind. I mean, how are they going to have a hard time?
I think that they still can have a hard time. I just think that their hard times might be easier to bounce back from.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the resources that they have.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Not to negate that they don't go through the same situations and they're not just as horrible of situations.
Right.
It's just, it's different. You know, we talked a few minutes ago about Latrice and how lucky she is to have you there to help with the children. Because if she didn't, she'd be facing that barrier of daycare, right? And how there are a lot of women in the community that don't have really great moms that can back them up. I, like you, I grew up in poverty. I raised my children in poverty. We're generations of it. My children, thank God, are slowly coming out of that and will hopefully live better outcomes, and my grandchildren will live outcomes in yours too, right?
Oh,
Like,
I hope that all the
it
time.
heals through the generations, but it's not always easy to be there to
I watch all
support.
my grandchildren. I have literally 19 grandchildren. Yes, I do.
How many children do you have, Elizabeth?
I have 3 blood children, but I have in-laws.
Oh, okay.
Daughter-in-laws, son-in-laws, and it just, even the exes, I'm still very close with them. And watching a single mother go through things, 2 of my granddaughters, their mom is single, and she struggles really bad. And it's hard for me to watch my grandchildren go through it. Yeah, excuse me. This is an emotional topic for me. It's hard to watch that with my kids and my grandkids, so I can just imagine what other women feel.
Let's explore that. Let's go to a clip.
In 1782, an act of Congress changed our country's motto to E pluribus unum, which means out of many, one. In 1956, another act of Congress changed it to In God We Trust. Both of these signify our country's desire to have officials and leaders leading us, making decisions based upon integrity, honesty, compassion, collaboration, inclusivity, equality. In our highly mediatized election, women from suburbia, those educated, those leading corporate America, were asked to come out and vote. Their voices, their votes were recognized. Unfortunately, us women in poverty still do not have enough representation in our democracy. Our votes, our voices are not heard. This systemic issue of women in poverty needs to change. Our officials need to hear us. Our officials need to recognize our voice, our votes. I am disappointed. I am frustrated by our officials' lack of recognition in this matter. I want to be able to provide for my family. I want to put food on the table, have a roof over our head. I want to earn enough money to be able to put back and infuse our economy. Our voices need to be heard. Our votes need to be heard. Things need to change.
Hi, I am Ginger with Women's Co-op, sporting the nice little logo. Yay! Pop quiz for me today was being asked, do you feel that your voice and vote counts? How does that look like in the media? Well, I don't feel that we are represented well in the media at all. I don't feel that our voices are heard. I don't feel that our votes are looked at as an impact on a large. I feel that the media utilizes their time in a way that they feel is important, so they only survey and talk to the people higher up on the chain, people with higher income, because they feel that those are the voices that matter. Those are the voices that other people want to hear about. Maybe they feel that they're looked up to, that they're a pillar in the community, that they're the voices that are the only ones who matter. In fact, in a lot of communities, poor communities make up a larger amount of the people. I feel that the people are not listened to. I feel our votes are counted on a whole, but I think the media dismisses us as they see us as the problem. They see us as low income, not respected. Nobody wants to hear our voices. That we're more of a pull on society, if you will, and that they don't want to show that. They don't want to bring reality. Reality is not, people don't want to see reality. They dismiss it. They want to brush it aside. If it's out of sight, out of mind. I feel even in our own community, people in poverty are not listened to. I feel that women, especially in poverty, are not listened to at the table on a whole. I feel that they don't think that what we have to say is important. And I think that the media is the same way. You're not going to see the media come to Battle Creek and talk to people in Post Franklin or within Emmett Township, people of lower income or who are in poverty, which is a lot of us anymore. I was just driving down M66 Capitol Avenue and seen somebody who I would think would be middle class based on the house and the living area. All of their belongings on the side of the road. Right now we're facing poverty on a whole new level. People not getting their unemployment like expected. We're facing a pandemic and the government isn't listening to us with our voices. Like $1,000, $600, like what does that impact? Rent on average for most people is $800 to $1,000. I feel we're being dismissed. We're not being listened to. Our votes count, but our voices don't. I feel that's been an ongoing problem for years. I hope this helped. It was kind of sprung on me at the last moment, so I kind of improv there. I hope everybody has a good day, and I hope that you guys are trying to put something together that people in the community who are within the realms of poverty are being listened to and actually something being done with that. That would be great, because I feel living in Battle Creek for all of my life, I feel we've been dismissed, not only in the media, but in our own community and not being listened to. Same way with the schools. I feel the schools don't listen to people. I see some of the board members are even saying that, you know, they're listening to people of higher income that don't even send their children to public schools. You know, why are we valuing their opinion more than we're valuing the opinion of the parents who are sending their kids to those schools? And I feel that's a problem. So, yes, I feel on a whole that the news and the news media dismisses us because we're a pull or a problem on society, that we're not in the top 1% and that nobody wants to hear our voices. I feel that they feel important people are who, you know, they want to get the results from and report back on, and I feel that they need to get back in touch with reality. And maybe they feel that that's not news, but I think they're missing a whole larger story and a whole larger viewpoint that has a more impact on the voting, and it has a more impact on what things should be getting done in a community. I don't think we should be dismissed. I don't think that we should have a blind eye turned on us. Thanks. Have a great day.
So we're not the only ones that feel this way.
Oh, no.
Feel lost in systems, feel not heard.
Right.
I think that there is a great importance to the work that we do at Women's Co-op. I know that it's hard because I know that at the end of the day, we do have daughters to support and grandchildren to watch. And so we appreciate you very much that you show up to be that voice and to try to advocate not only for yourself and your daughters, but for this entire community of women who are struggling at that level.
Me cry.
Well, it's very important, and
Well,
you know
thank you.
this, and we're grateful that you show up for that. And thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you. It was a
for this very
pleasure.
important topic. If you could say something to the world out there in our community about the voice of poverty, what would you say?
Don't give up. Pray. You know, I feel that God has given us a wake-up call, especially with the pandemic. And if you're struggling out there, don't give up. Keep your head high, because that's what a lot of the American society wants, is us women to fail, and we're not going to.
And to the leaders of our community, what do you say?
Help. Please, get it right. Help us. You know,
How do they get that right? How do they help us?
look into it more. You know, you have so many people that are standing there that are higher up officials. You know, have them come and see what we go through. Let them investigate. When you get letters from your community, read them. Feel what they're feeling. You know, it's humane. And just help us, you know, because we're trying. We're struggling.
Very well said, Elizabeth. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for this edition of Our View, and continue to join us on Monday evenings at 7 as we explore topics across our community that affect those that are living in poverty.